It's 6 a.m. in Jakarta. The all-night pedicabs head home, for the day shift starts at 7 o'clock. The workday starts early, for later it will be like a Turkish bath. The foreign businessmen are still asleep over there in the Hotel Indonesia. And beside the hotel you find those pedicabs who specialize in giving foreigners tours of the nightlife. Now they sleep off the last unprofitable hours before the morning. One of these is Hussein. He can make $3 on a good night, whereas a day driver will only make $1.
You going to go home now?
Yeah, I want to go home.
6:30.
6:30.
What did you do last night? Did you have a good night?
Oh,
good night.
Good night, yeah.
How many passengers you had?
4 passengers.
How much?
Yeah, but 1,000 rupees.
1,000?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
All
pretty good.
this, all.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
By midday there'll be 200,000 of these becas, as they call them, crawling around the city. Hussein goes home by back rutted roads because the police have a campaign against becha drivers in the early morning. 6:35. General Hoegeng, Chief of Police, is driven to work. This morning he's half an hour late.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's mine?
Hussein, what is this stuff you're drinking here?
Hussein comes across as sort of tough and jaunty, but his smile hides a rather hard life. Last year he nearly died of a vitamin deficiency, and now each day before home he buys a tonic he can't afford. Every morning the becaks take shortcuts on the new highways, and every morning they are arrested. Their real crime is that they're old-fashioned.
They have done traffic violation.
Ah, my God, there's a lot.
Well,
You're going to stop?
General Hoegeng, passing by, stops to make sure that his men don't overstep the mark. He doesn't make the policy, but he implements it.
What have they done exactly?
well, they have, for instance, they have driven the becak on the wrong side. And then,
Yeah. And they're not supposed to be on this road.
Right.
.55. Hussein is sometimes caught in such police traps, but this morning he reaches the depot without problem.
Kepada Kepala Kepolisian Republik Indonesia, hormat senjata!
General Hoegeng likes to be first at the office. An aide tried coming earlier, so the general arrived at 5:45 a.m. till the aide gave up.
Kembali 20, 10-20 rupees.
How much? How much did you give him?
80.
80. That's for 1 day rental.
Yeah, no, one night.
It's 1 night rental. Yeah. This man here, he's your boss, is he?
Yeah, my boss. This is my boss.
Yeah.
Mr. Dasby.
Mr. Datsby.
Yeah.
How many betches in his company?
About 50 batches.
About 50.
Mr. Dusty is rumored to be a former underworld character.
Does he help you?
Oh, help me. Help with the batch driver.
If you get into trouble with police, for instance.
Yeah.
Help.
Now he's reformed and tolerates no tricks from his drivers.
Good man. Very good man.
We hebben er zo lang aan gewerkt eigenlijk. We hebben er eigenlijk al zo lang aan gewerkt. En ik hoop dat het nou eigenlijk wel echt de puntjes op de i gezet kunnen worden.
Some Dutch words which are very strong, you know. Like to say that word of what you call in English, goddamn. We don't have that in Indonesian, so we say in Dutch, godverdamme.
Watching Indonesia is sort of like watching a snake shedding skins. The Dutch skin is almost totally gone. Sukarno and the pro-Chinese, they've gone too.
I was clean and I want to washing and I want to going to washing my body and my shoes, you see, and I want a little drink tea.
Now Hussein learns English, which gives you some idea of the color of the next skin.
This is your pump.
Yeah, my pump. Clean water, you see. Yes, I stay here tonight. Nice.
Good, huh?
See, yeah, good water. I think
This is where you live?
yeah, I live here.
Hussein is very proud of the housing Mr. Dusty provides. But someone reports him and us to the police. We don't know exactly what we've done. Perhaps we're not supposed to shoot such poverty.
Yeah. If you're not married, you live in there, huh?
Yeah, not if I have a marriage, I can live here. If I have marriage, I can stay there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll see you another day.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so go in.
Yeah, all right.
Goodbye, good night.
Good night.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. All right.
Yeah.
We leave the little streets, but I worry about trouble I might have made unwittingly for Hussein. So I go to see General Hoegeng at headquarters, hoping to nip it in the bud.
One thing I wanted to ask you, the becak driver that we've been using in this film, Hussein. Excuse me.
Halo. Halo. Mas Pitata? Oke, terima kasih.
After we shot in his area where he lives, he had... somebody started to say, who are these people shooting here? Now, apparently, nobody has been to the police yet, but he fears that somebody will go to the police and say, Hussein, why did you bring these foreigners here? What should I do?
Well, just leave it to me and I'm going to ring up the chief of the Metropolitan Police over here.
Good.
Hussein has no further trouble, as far as I know. But we get bogged down in a maze of stories that start and then just fizzle out. The street vendors, like the becaks, are under attack. We try to find out why and just get hostile looks. We see a man they tell us is the tough governor of Jakarta, checking ID cards. Why? Because he likes to check the laws he makes, someone says. Can we talk to him? Perhaps in a few weeks. We just feel personally lost and out of place. Cameraman Paul looks like a small colonialist. Soundman Claude, his first time out of North America, is on some sort of a tropical trip. And I, in my correspondence suit, get mistaken for the military. There are 110 million people in these islands of Indonesia, and we feel as if they're all staring at us. Jules Fiol, our location manager, tries to clear them away, but it's hopeless. Even in our little bus, we feel like freaks in a cage of people. Mid-morning, very warm, we stop for a drink, and we find that the drink seller is also an actor in a people's theatre. He's seen our troubles on the street, and he and his wife invite us to come into their theatre compound. It's called Mistichi's after a lovely lady long ago. It's a repertory theatre performing in a tin barn, and everybody who lives around the theatre is somehow involved with it. It's a community, a village, snug in the center of the city. The artistic director is Mr. William Sindurian, who's also a sort of community father. It's very much like other parts of Jakarta life, and yet the clothes on the lines may be costumes. The games we see may be rehearsals for a skit. Even the fights seem like rehearsals.
Nggak boleh begitu dong. Aku mati. Ayah kuring lo ngadu-ngadu di mah kurang luguan budak atuh nu lain-lain. Udah. Tadi kita kumaha mikir itu mah.
Orang dibereskeun itu duk.
Baru sare. Ayo baru budak karen-karen jaru beli mah kuring. Mangga gandengkeun. Neng mari mah kuring. Ieu asrama ieu. Cicing nih eta. Dia ngabelaan keur budak kitu euy.
Heeh, geus.
Ting atuh sing aya kasadarin urang era tuh batu atuh mah tuh ilikan tuh. Aduh, ting haburan. Asa bisa ngomong anakna kitu naon. Ya tapi urusan budak. Adena aya Harun. Tuh udah mungun eta mah. Salaman agak. Ya tapi pingkeun deui ulah kitu budak jeung budak kalau jeung kolot. Geus. Nah gitu ranan lain-lain kawas lain. Kolot ah. Baik tuan datang kemari baik iya baik I film chair of Canada. Bilang terima kasih sama tuan-tuan semua, ya.
Everyone has two jobs. This man is not only an actor but also a puppeteer. He's preparing his puppets for a performance at a coming circumcision.
Bagus hidung kamu. Awas disambar lo.
At dusk, the kids move their games onto the stage, and when the show starts, they'll watch from the wings till they fall asleep. In a few years, they too will be on stage. They get no government subsidy, this little repertory company, and Centurion says that they won't accept one, even if it's offered. There is a gamelan orchestra who play in a little loft. They set the mood as the audience comes in, and later they all sort of stitch the play together. They take their cues from William Centurion, now dressed to play a magic prince. This night, the drink seller plays a comic courtier. He will be sent to the woods by the king, and there will find the puppeteer playing a villager.
Lutung. Lutung terus datang aki-aki, ya aki-aki lengser. Jalan. Ini berangkat alun.
Ayah kaperuan kali. Tek naon ieu mah teh lain ti karaton. Di karaton galuh. Di karaton galuh ari sabab-sababna. Urang aya kapentingan naon. Aya sabab-sababna eta teh aya manis ganu diutus ku jeung Gusti Galuh. Aki jeung Nini kudu menangkeun lutung poe ieu. Goreng teh. Yo, eta kayaknya mah ieu geranya. Eta teh jadi lamun kitu teh mah jadi naon? Peksia. Ka peta? Peksia. Kok kata? Peksia. Sok. Biasana sok sia. Sok. Bangga basianya.
The courtier has commissioned the villager to catch a magic monkey, for the king craves the meat of such a monkey.
Sing hade-hade lamun hasil lutung urang teh sing pasrah kalau jadi ratunya upama teh menepikeun ka urang dihukum pati kan bae da urang mah usahanya
Mimiti siapa?
Lain kau kamana yo
The play is as old as history, the battles and the banter between court and village, and it seems to go on all night. William Centurion is going to a village to find an actor. He says that we should go to a village too because the city, Jakarta, is not Indonesia. Indonesia is villages. So we set off in a sort of taxi that they call an opelette.
Melalui kali. Oh, berapa jauh tuh? Itu kira-kira bangsa.
Jules Fiol, the location manager, rides the opelette. But I think he does so a little reluctantly because he doesn't like me showing this ancient jalopy. He feels it doesn't reflect his society well.
About 40 kilometers to the city, to sell it in the city.
Tut atau dago mah.
Pembelain bisa jalan. Ah. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Iya malah kuat kemana? Kuat nggak? Kuat, sebentar. Tunggu dong sebentar dong. Sampai. Mari saya bantuin. Coba lihat kacangnya. Ringgit ya. Besok nah. Video.
In Indonesia, a car is a source of income, pride, a member of the family. And Tatang, who has arranged the stay in the village, has a car that he bought back from Canada in 1961. He calls it Barbara, after its former owner.
Steering's a bit loose. Yes, a bit. Horn works. The horn works. What about the gears? The gears good? These things on when you...
Will he ever sell her? No, because she carries too many memories.
I visit Toronto, for instance, you see, and I bought one of the shops and I put it here, just as a
souvenir.
From Canada.
rainy season is almost over, and yet still it rains each day at 4 o'clock. It will be next morning before we arrive in the village. The village of Changkuan is in a prosperous part of western Java, 80 kilometers from Bandung. It's a quiet time now, for the harvest is almost over, and the second crop of rice grows quietly.
Selamat bertemu.
Making friends, we hardly see the hunger behind the smiles.
Wilujeng tepang gitu.
She places on the table the day's meager rations for a family of 7, soon to be 8.
The name here it is Fajar, means a sunset.
Sunset.
Because and so it looks very bright and white in color. You see, from a hectare, you can get it for about 56 quintal.
That makes 5.6 tons.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
5.6.
And the old rice you'd get about 2.5?
At the moment, not many people are growing the new miracle rice. It takes capital to buy the enormous quantities of insecticides and fertilizers that the new rice needs. Besides, the chemicals get into the fish ponds, they say, and make the fish taste bad. we see a family planning poster that is explained to us by the Lura, the village head.
Yeah. And it is introduced by the government to introduce to the people.
Yeah.
To get used to this.
People don't seem to be too certain about family planning, from what I've been able to find out.
That's right.
I mean, they like to have a lot of children, right?
Kebanyakan katanya rakyatnya mau lebih banyak anaknya, betul?
Iya.
Iya, betul.
Do you think people in a village like this have any concept of the size of the Indonesian population? You know, the fact that there are 110 million people in Indonesia and that in 15 years it'll be 200 million?
Akan lebih hebat lagi.
Ada.
They have.
They have, he said.
But they can't do anything about it.
Perhaps there's no point in asking such questions in a village. We drop in from the outside and want a global picture. Or, another case, we see a family moving back to the village from the city and contentedly conclude that it might be a trend. But then the Lura, the village head, gently explains that the returnee is a woman who had a fight with her husband, and that's the reason she left him in Bandung. The Lura asked if we could show some films in the village. So last night we tried, using a generator Tatang supplied. People came from 20 miles to see our films, and the generator died as the first image flickered on the screen they'd built so well for us. And now Tatang's ready to leave the village. He's so ashamed.
Well, there were kids all around here, about 50 or 60 kids sitting around his, waiting for this screening that never happened. And we worked for about 3 hours on this machine to try and get it to work. There was just a pressure lamp there, and we could see all these little faces in the light, just sitting down watching us.
Yes.
Some of these kids have never ever seen a film before, so maybe what they think is a film is me sitting beside this machine with you trying to start it, and that's a film.
I say that we should try again tonight if the rain clears. So Tatang is writing me a speech, just in case.
Apabila di dalam penyambutan kurang sempurna dan sebagai akhir kalam kami ucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada tuan-tuan dari Kanada, dan selanjutnya kami mohon kepada tuan-tuan dari Kedutaan Besar Kanada ini, mohon kesediaan tuan-tuan dari Kedutaan Besar Kanada.
The generator works, thanks to a spark plug that we stole from Barbara. And in my speech I tried to explain that we'll throw it into the fish pond if it stops.
Tuan-tuan ini. Maaf, tadi puting Teresa Mutalala film. Sekarang generator.
How do you feel compared with last night? Do you feel it's a real success?
Everybody is laughing, you know, and watching. They enjoy this night very much.
On the west shore of Hudson's Bay, the low rolling terrain offers little protection against the bitter cold of the northwest wind. From a lifetime of living with it, the Eskimo knows his snow. Providing it is of good quality, he can build the igloo entirely from snow found within the circle of the walls. The Eskimo is a nomad. His need is for a temporary home, for who knows how long he will stay. Like the man who paints himself into a corner, the Eskimo has built himself into his house. Cutting his way out, he forms the doorway of the igloo.
I wonder if perhaps it was not a mistake to show the films. Hamid, the projectionist from the embassy, doesn't think so.
What did you think of the screening last night?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah? What about the kids? What did they tell you about?
No, for the kids, I think it's the first time in the village. And for the elders, I think it's once in their lifetime. When I was opening the cans of the film, they said that it's just like the puppet player opening the puppet box. And then when they saw the film, it's just like it was just like a rope. And the other kids said that, my uncle bought me a belt, it's like that, but not as thin as that.
There are many mysterious things here in Changquan. This punchak dance, half fight, half dance. I think we miss these mysterious things because we come with our technology, our films. We're leaving soon. We came by Oppolet, but we leave by water. We'll float away on bamboo rafts. Like the bamboo logs, we take the water road to the city. takes 2 days to reach the city. It carries no goods, for the bamboo itself is the trade. We'll spend the night with the raftman in a village near the river. On the banks, small boys flee, shouting, "The Dutch are coming back." They think you're Dutch soldiers, Jules explains, for their parents have told them of the Dutch soldiers who came long ago and killed, and they've never seen a rubber boat. In this village where we stay the night, we see, by chance, a Wayangolic puppet play. It goes on all night, telling old tales in celebration of a rich boy's circumcision.
Syukur bangsa kumanjangan. Ay pangnawag sampean, ay dipanggil lain bansi diondang lain mangsana. Ay akwaya nak kita wag sampean teh bakal dipripati tortagawi. Ay ayo nak beragra mangkat, ay kanagara Amartapura. Ari sababna kaula teh kataji.
The second day on the river Chiliwang. Cameraman Paul has lost his neatness, his energy, and his enthusiasm. The river too has changed. Now it's sluggish, deep, slow-moving. We're tired, we're dirty, fed up with the stink, with the heat, and with the following and the watching that starts again. At the moment, we've had enough, but the feeling will change, for tomorrow we have the appointment with Ali Sadikin, the governor we saw on the street.
What is this here?
It's for about 50...
He receives us in the operations room, the nerve center of centers, and on the candid charts we see what we saw on the river and in the city, births running away from deaths.
By 160,000.
Per year?
Per year.
Birth.
Birth. Yeah?
Yeah. Some people in the United States who are concerned about population say that we must consider our world is like a spaceship. And I say
that this is like your description of Indonesia, like a house.
With full of people.
Yeah.
And then?
And it's the same thing, that when Indonesia, the house is full of people, it will burst too.
We have to move some people to the other islands because many part of the island is empty.
Yeah. Is it a top priority, though, for you, family planning?
Yes, it is now
top priority.
A national program.
Yeah.
Jakarta began 3 years ago. We are a pioneer in this case.
So you're not just experimenting, you're really serious about it?
Really serious.
It's an impossible, impoverished city he must run. 20% of his budget comes from legalized gambling. To Muslim leaders with moral objections, he says, don't ride on the roads, don't use the hospitals. The gambling built them. He takes us on a tour of his city, and I continue a running argument I'm having with him on the becaks. An obsession with me because I see a policy that ignores what's happened in our cities.
Having a discussion with you about the becak, because in a certain sense it seemed to me that the becak was quite practical transport. It creates no pollution, no noise, does not destroy the roads.
I agree.
Small space.
Yes,
For all these reasons, a becak does not create the problems of a car.
Yeah.
And yet your policy is against becaks.
I am concerning about the total amount.
His answer on the tape is not clear, but he points out that they clog the roads, they draw in the villages, the transients, for all you need for the job is stamina. Make it tough for the becaks and the immigrants will go home. Put the rest to work in the factories to be built. And yet deep down one senses that the becaks are despised as a symbol of backwardness. So it's out with the becak and on to the factory worker in the modern society.
Buses, taxis, and Opel, they will try to... Dari mana asalnya?
Di sini Jakarta sih.
Orang Jakarta, Pak Saudara, bukan orang luar. Asalnya? Orang tua di mana?
Di sini sudah meninggal semua.
Orang Jakarta asli.
Ya, Jakarta.
He just somebody from Jakarta itself.
He's not from the outside.
Not from the outside.
So he's okay.
It's okay. But see, what we call...
It's not so much the present people who worry Sadiqin. It's all the little brothers coming on.
How do you feel when you see all this?
No, truly speaking, I have two kind of feeling.
Yeah.
The first, you see they are very, very happy.
Yeah.
I'm also feeling happy.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I tremble because of my responsibility for their future.
Everyone seems to know him by name, and nobody has to tell the kids to run after the jeep. He shows us what they're trying to do. First to a slum, typical housing for many Jakartans. Next we'll move to an improved sector where, according to Governor Sadiqin, people will carry out the development themselves if you get them out of the mud.
That is on Kampong side that we have already done the Kampong improvement program. Before 2 years ago, it's very, very swamp area.
Very muddy here.
Very muddy and very terrible the condition. But after I have finished this route, you can see the reaction of the people. They are building now very nice houses. We are making progress, the government, but also the people. But now they are feeling too sorry if they still kept like this. And the value of this ground is about maybe 10 times than before.
Just because of this road?
Because of this improvement.
So what you
also,
do...
Of course, this Kampong isn't typical. Neither is Sadiqin. Arrogance, corruption, and inertia are more common. Sadiqin is a dynamo, and the city watches fascinated, waiting for the pace to burn him out.
kampong improvement program, yes?
Yeah.
And it is a question of the sanitation for the people.
Yeah. Now, this is for washing here, is it?
Yes, for washing.
Yeah, so they can wash clothes and so on. Taps don't work.
Air nggak pernah keluar. Ke sana nggak keluar. Tidak, tapi ke sana. Oh, pipa. Oh, pipa sana.
What's the problem?
Oh, from here.
Yeah.
Directly in this. Here. Oh, yes, right here.
Oh, I see, yeah. Well, that's good. It's better than washing clothes in the river.
No, yeah.
We saw people washing clothes in the river, and I can't understand how they...
He covers up his broken tap with a joke about Hotel Indonesia, saying that the water of that grand hotel is not as clean as the water of the river on which we floated into town.
Much cleaner.
By what, this water?
No,
the river. Chilibon? Yeah, it's cleaner than Hotel Indonesia.
Right.
Sunday morning, the raft men have been home and come again. The price for the bamboo, as usual, some $8.
3.000-nya. Nggak kurangin dikit deh.
Nggak bisa sih barangnya. Barangnya bagus itu mah.
Ini arang sulit kan airnya sulit. Airnya sat, bang mahal.
Bagus ya Bang Moy ya. Cara bagus nih, terima, saya bayar 3.000 dah. Salam semua ya.
Sunday morning, General Hoegeng, Chief of Police, has his one day off. He rehearses on the veranda of his house with friends for their monthly TV show. Behind the house he keeps orangutans, because he says he likes them better than people.
I sang a song of love to you. Big skies of magic blue. The lovely way you look at me. Your heart so true. You cool in my heart. My island cookie. You're in my heart like never before.
Later, before lunch, he takes a spin on his old Dutch bike. Even on Sundays, he's in touch.
Saya berada satu kan.
Whether it's all calculated is hard to say. I do know, though, that he's trying hard to change the image of the police.
Anker, ini bir baru.
Anker, ini baru bir.
Well, dear TV viewers in Canada, we have just
This is a
What time is it? It's now 6:05, and you're 5 minutes late, I think. Why do you start so early in the morning to work?
Well, actually, although I'm chief of the national police, I'm just a common cop, you know.
He was right. For a few months after the shooting, he lost his job.
Di Harmoni. Di Harmoni. Mengapa? Masih tidur, dibangunin. Masih tidur, dibangunin. Tetapi
Tempatnya kan di tempat yang salah.
Di itu pinggir Cina, angkaran.
Stopan bis. Nah, tidak boleh. Tidak boleh. Jadi jangan dong, ya. Karena ini kan coba tiap pagi diadakan begitu kan, situ capek, kita capek, lalu di situ yang
saudara-saudara, kawan-kawanku, bisa, ya?
They say he was incorruptible. It may be that he was too incorruptible. He'd even put his own relatives away when they deserved it, and most Indonesians regard that as very foolish.
Apakah saudara-saudara mau berjanji kalau tidak akan berbuat begitu lagi? Ayo semua bilang, mau? Mau, oke. Mau nggak? Saudara-saudara kenal dengan saya? Terkejut, boten? Boten, oke, terima kasih, yes. Jadi untuk ini kali, saudara-saudara nanti akan diurus tepat, tetapi lain kali jangan. Janji? Janji, Pak. Terima kasih.
And they have promised me not to do such a traffic violation anymore.
Really?
Yes, they have promised me.
They said that?
Fine.
Now that a decent interval has passed, we decide to say goodbye to Hussein. We find that he's going back to a village. Like many Indonesians, he prefers the village if he can afford it. And now, with our help, he's saved enough to pay off a small fertilizer loan. But the tide of people like the river is in the other direction. And so he goes against the tide.
I come back to the village now, because I am borrow from my farmer banks.
Farmer bank.
Yeah.
What you bought? You borrow fertilizer or what?
I have no.
You have the money?
I have no. Yes, I find already because I am 1 month already. You see, stay in Jakarta.
Oh, you had
stay in the city. Yeah. Yes, 7,000.
That's a lot.